Welcome to SimSpeed TV as we bring you live coverage of tonight's RaceKraft V8 Veterans Season 26 Round 5 from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And it's spelt tire, not tire. We got 250 kilometers ahead of us at this intimidating racetrack, a roller coaster at high average speed, long loaded corners in a beautiful Canadian forest setting. We can't wait to see how it plays out for our V8 veterans tonight and to bring you the coverage of the race. Myself, David Haynes, with Brock Caddo, Daniel Yeaman in the production. Great to be back with you, Brock, as we look forward to 250 Ks here in Canada.
Great to be back here in the box, and yeah, we are in for a real fun race here. This track, Canadian Tire's a bit of a bull ring, but first we're going to have a little squiz back at the season that has been so far. So this is round 5 tonight. Now, I'd just like to put your attention to Jordan Ross, round 1, Adelaide Street Circuit, new track, and he won. Wayne Walker must have had a very restful break because the Bend, Watkins Glen and Barcelona, he has come out and won every single one of those, and fairly dominantly and convincingly as well. So he'll be our man to watch tonight. But we do it all over again tonight for our 250k race, David. I reckon we're in for a pretty fun one.
Yeah, absolutely. And with his win at Barcelona last week, Wayne Walker took the lead of the championship, surpassing Jordan Ross at this interesting juncture. Scott Gamble sits in third, Matt Brunt there in fourth. David Nash picks up a whole heap of spots to be tied in fifth with his bandmate Paul Young there. Troy Stonestreet seventh, Michael Stewart eighth, Chad Lewis ninth, and Mark Poynton in 10th completes our top 10. But Wayne Sanderson, Dean Logsdale, Travis Hunt, they've picked up some points and some spots. And unfortunately for Darren Lobb, he had a pretty torrid time with the weather and starting at the back of the grid, I think, and then damage at Barcelona. But that first and second in the championship, ooh, that's juicy.
That absolutely is, and I think that'll be one to watch for the rest of this season. We're not even halfway through this season at the moment, so there is still plenty more to come between these two. And as always with V8 Vets, the points are tight. There are bonus points on offer as well. You just never quite know how you're going to rock out the other end of round after round. So keep an eye on those top two, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see a lot more movement in this top 10 over the next few rounds.
So, in a chaotic, wet to dry race at Barcelona, Tim Mulford was the M1 used cars driver of the day. M1 used cars supporting the Balin Stewart Foundation this season, as they have done for a while. We'll see who can be driver of the day here at Mosport. But Mulford was not only very quick, but strategically clever, and with often 40 cars in the field in these two compulsory pit stop races, being strategically clever is at least half of the battle.
Yep, that's exactly it. So Mulford, great race last week, and I'm sure we'll see that strategic prowess as well as that speed come to the forefront again here at Mosport, but it'll be anyone's game tonight. We'll have to just keep an eye out there if there are a couple of safety cars, who manages to snatch driver of the day today.
Well, from above, it's a pretty simple racetrack here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It's in Ontario, a bit northeast of Toronto, so if you're up towards Ottawa or Montreal, it's not too much of a drive to get down here. It's pretty centrally located. I forget what the name of their major highway there is, but it's just off the... And it has been, layout-wise, untouched for a long time. It opened there in 1961, and I think this is still the layout. So turns 1, 2, 3, super fast and sweeping. Moss corner there, a little bit of a tabletop type corner, and your exit from Moss, so important onto the long back straight, the Mario Andretti straightaway. Some moves can get done turns 8, 9 and 10, particularly if you spring down the inside of turn 10. It's a constantly tightening sequence of slalom corners there with the pit entry on the inside of turn 10. You can make a late dive to the pit entry that is difficult to react to for your rivals, and then it's a pretty quick pit lane transit time here, so that all factors into how we'll play this race.
And we're just having a look now at a few of the notable mentions for Mosport in the past. And Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has hosted the Formula One in previous years throughout the 70s. Other notable series include USAC, Can-Am, IndyCar, Trans Am, IMSA, NASCAR trucks. This track really is diverse. You can race all manner of cars here. This nearly 4K circuit, 10 corners, 7 right, 3 left. So really, really diverse track. Lots of different cars race here. Even in modern times, we still see a great variety. Our supercars are just perfectly suited for it. And I think strategically and speed-wise, we're going to see some great battling out there tonight.
This when IMSA prototypes used to come here. Hypercar, GTP, whatever they're calling it, doesn't come here no more. 64 laps ahead of us is going to be 250 kilometers, as always, to be a classified finisher. You got to complete 75% of the race distance. That's 48 laps. Very wide strategy options on the fuel tank tonight, with a starting of 80 litres and then an uncapped refill capacity. We'll look at that in a little moment. But you do spend a fair bit of time at full throttle on that back straight. Fuel consumption could be relatively high for the 2 compulsory pit stops. Critical lap for the second stop. 18 to 21 is one to watch. Let's look at those strategy possibilities.
So, as always, early, even, and late stops. If you just want to get your first stop out of the way, nice and early, maybe a safety car comes out and you bury it in the pack. Lap 2, when the pit stop, a compulsory pit stop opens up, you can jump in there. Then by lap 19, you hit that critical lap number, you can fuel all the way to the end. Going to be a very long stint on your tyres. The even and late stop stints are probably going to be the more favourable here tonight. Mind your tyres a bit. Just keep in with everyone else going on there. But, you know, a couple of safety cars, some guys wanted to try something different. You could well see some variations to this strategy. Of course, this is just a selection. Who knows what's going to happen out there, particularly with that lack of fuel tank restriction.
Seen some shunts over the times here. I reckon the safety car possibility is moderate to severe. It's like a UV index or a yeah, it could be total fireband day today.
You're not wrong, and based off of what I've seen in just a practice alone, a few mistakes being made, you hit the grass and you're in the wall, or you're spinning back on the track. So these guys, they're trying to find every inch, but mistakes are already being made. So expect that to come through in the race, particularly when they're battling each other. And as you said, I reckon total fireband day for our safety cars. We could see a few out there tonight.
Of course, the high end of the scale is extreme and catastrophic. This is who's joining us on Zoom. It's a who's who. My goodness. So, Luke Allman, Ray Smith, David Kirby, John Gallen, Travis Hunt, Scott Gamble, Jeff Thomas, Sean McNamara, Simon Haynes, Justin McLean, Wayne Sanderson, Christian Smart, Wayne Walker, Ken Latter, Greg Sharp. There's Mr. Stewart, Michael Stewart, and Dean Logsdale. So we got our championship leader.
Interesting, now that the points matter. He's grabbing that bonus point to get on the Zoom wall. Every point matters in this championship.
You'd have to believe that Canadian Tire Motorsport Park is in the greatest racing tracks in the world, and therefore will be on Michael Stewart's poster, but we'll find out. Another thing we can tell you about Michael Stewart is that the Balin Stewart Foundation jerseys from LGC Images should still be available for sale until the end of January. I wonder if we've got that one. See everyone on the Zoom wall, and they each receive a bonus point for signing into that. Yeah, here is that jersey, Brock.
Yeah, only a couple of days left to grab these, so available to order until January 31st, with all profits donated to the Bale and Stewart Foundation, a cause very close to Michael Stewart, to the 9.5 Sim Racing guys, and also just to a lot of competitors in V8 Vets who know Michael and love him and his family as well. So get behind it, $49 a jersey, scan the QR code or head to that link there. It's a great jersey, you can get your name on the back of it as well. Yeah, get behind it, a couple of days left to get your order in there.
Fantastic. Well, it must be about time to look at the grid. And the championship leader is on pole position. It was a dry qualifying. Expect the numbers to be way tighter than they were in the wet qualifying session at Barcelona. Wayne Walker is on pole by 23 thousandths of a second ahead of Paul Young. On the next row, defending champion Jordan Ross and Scott Gamble, all of our top four within a tenth of a second after qualifying. Sean McNamara in fifth, Ken Latter has qualified sixth. And Darren Lobb up in seventh, Justin McLean in eighth. It's Wayne Sanderson in ninth, and Troy Stonestreet completing the top 10.
Out of 11th, we've got David Nash, and then Chad Lewis out of 12th. Jamie McKnight up in 13th, and John Gallen in 14th. Travis Hunt and Jeff Thomas side by side, 15th and 16th at JWM SimSport guys. Chris Burridge in 17th, and Ray Smith in 18th. And rounding out our top 20 here tonight, we'll have Matt Scholes in 19th and Michael Stewart in 20th.
Scott Mackay has qualified 21st, Dave Arney in 22nd. Christian Smarts in 23rd alongside his teammate David Kirby in 24th. Matt Brunt 25th. Mark Poynton, 26th, the row that makes you want to get out your highlighter pens. Logan Barnett qualified 27th, Simon Haynes in 28th. And then the next row is Lorne McKee and Stephen Kennedy.
Then we've got Luke Orman in 31st and Andrew Rushworth in 32nd. Brad Doble 33rd and Greg Sharp in 34th. Ricky Hyde out of 35th and Tim Mulford, our driver of the day, from 36th. Aaron Goosey 37th and Dan Hall in 38th. What do we got here? Jim Caparonis 39th and Dean Logsdale without a qualifying time but out of 40th. And final row in a 41 car field, Dean Flavelle in 41st rounding us out here. That's a mighty field to kick off this one, isn't it, David? And
so Jason Spriggs is on the spreadsheet as a driver, but but he's in the McLaren safety car. That's why he shows up on this graphic when the safety car and race control wouldn't normally. That might be unfortunate for Jason Spriggs if he did mean to race, but it might not be the first or last time that we see one of the safety cars here. I'm feeling a decent probability. The walls are pretty close. There's a couple of blind corners, and we've seen pile-ups in places like Moss Corner, like over the crest into 2. That's why you want to qualify up front. That's where Wayne Walker is 20 seconds away from getting 250 kilometers of racing underway at Mosport. And that front row is Walker and Young. Jordan Ross fighting for another championship. Starts from third, directly in line behind Wayne Walker. And hey, how about the tail of the field all the way around that final corner for the standing start. Staggered grid at Mosport. V8's rev, flames out the exhaust. Flag is green, and Young doesn't look like he gets away that well. That's a good launch and a jump from Jordan Ross. Down the inside of turn 1, he's already up in a second. Wayne Walker has done a really good job too. McNamara and Lobb also with good launches as we have cold tyres heading over the crest into long sweeping turn 2. A lot of cars too wide, some getting out a bit wide. Not too many marbles out there just yet. Expect some later on in the race. It's gone pleasingly well so far, but we haven't got to the ponderous tight section of Moss Corner yet.
That's it, everyone keeping it nice and clean at the moment, but the real risk area here is Moss Corner as Wayne Walker comes around to take the first part of Moss Corner. Up the hill, heavy braking zone. Touch the apex here if you can, then get on the gas and get going. A couple of guys side by side in the background there, there's McLean and Ladder. Everyone getting through fairly nicely here at the moment, which is great to see. So all these guys playing it smart, long race ahead of them here. Wayne Walker's going to stream down now the Mario Andretti straight and into the final sector of this circuit. Look at that line of cars. This really shows the undulation of this Canadian Tire Motorsport circuit.
They stream down, or they scream down at 270 kilometers an hour. You can battle side by side through these turns 8, 9 and 10. They hit a couple of the curbs there. It looks like making up some positions has been Jeff Thomas. Travis Hunt's gone backwards. That was Thomas battling with Burridge there through the final corners, and Thomas stays ahead. 1 lap completed. Scott Mackay's made 4 spots. Would you be surprised to hear that Tim Mulford and Dan Hall have made some spots?
I would not be surprised to hear Tim Mulford and Dan Hall have made some spots. They seem to be some of our better racers in this field, working their way up through the field and keeping it safe. So, as we look at Dan Hall now, who is actually our most positions gained at the moment, +7 after a lap and a half, and looks like he's not done yet. Wants to make that 8 by the end of this lap. He's not going to quite get it done there. Will he have a look into Moss Corner? Absolutely he will. He sends it down there. Bit of contact, but it's all done. Going to try and follow Lord McKee through here. Nope, nothing happening there, but he will be now being 30th, up 8. Our other most positions game with Scott Mackay up 4. Logan Barnett up 3.
Race lead, Jordan Ross is going for it. Slipstream down the Andretti straightaway. Jordan Ross has passed Wayne Walker for the lead of the race.
That's a big move early in this one, and Jordan Ross wants to stamp his authority early and try and get out in front. Paul Young is looking strong behind as well, but Ross now has just got himself a bit of breathing room there, so Walker clearly not quite feeling the car at the moment, and Ross taking advantage on as they come on to lap 3, and he will try and run away with this thing and not give Walker another opportunity.
So from the standing start, a great launch from Jordan Ross to pass Paul Young, and then he's closed in on Wayne Walker. Walker has a little bit of a slide through turn 3. By about now, these long corners begin to really heat up the tyres. Sun's out, the track temperature will rise a little bit, but it's not too hot. And I think you will need to manage your front left and left rear tyres over a long stint here.
Yeah, absolutely. And a bit of that's going to be with Wayne here. Does he fight hard? Does he go after Jordan? Does he maintain those tyres? We've just had a race control penalty come through for Andrew Crushworth. It sounded like a lap 1 incident there, so we'll get some replays of that for you soon, but that'll mean a drive through for Andrew there as we're on board with Walker through these last couple of turns. Getting a bit closer to Jordan here, but this is where that strategy comes into mind. How hard do you go early? And do you use up all your tyres, or are you trying to drive deep into this one? And that's the questions they'll be asking themselves right now. Quick around here, just over a minute. We've already got 3 of them done. Jordan Ross has moved his way forward to the lead of this race, but it is the unending train of cars from first down to 33rd as we look at lap 1 for Andrew Rushworth. Steve Kennedy first at Moss. Oh, how about the concertina effect? Yeah. It's 4 cars nose to tail, isn't it? It's Newton's Cradle and Dominoes. Yeah, that one there is going to be, I imagine that's it. That's why Rushworth has got the penalty here. They all bank up there, and there you go. So Rushworth just right into the back there of Kennedy and has spun it around and caused a bit of a car park. Surprisingly, no further damage or too many people involved from that one. They'll just kick on, but that is a bit of a kick in the teeth there for Kennedy being spun around and rush point with that penalty.
Get a load of Dan Hall just driving around the outside of it as well. That's how you make a couple of spots early. You go where the crash isn't. So much easier said than done. Top 6 starting to break away actually now as we complete another lap. So a space formed between McNamara in 6th, who holds the fastest lap of the race, and Ken Latta back there in 7th has got McLean, Stone Street and Wayne Sanderson just behind him. Well, the pit lane is open for compulsory pit stops, but I sense you'd be very close to going a lap down, taking it too early here.
Just as you say that, Brad Doble has come into the pits, but I'd feel you're pretty on the money there, David, particularly if you're going to do a higher fuel fill. This early in the race, with the field spread not very high, you do risk going down. On board now with Ken Latta on the right side of screen and McNamara on the left side of screen, and we're on McNamara's bonnet here as he is racing down the back straight. We're looking back at Ken Latta. So McNamara looking at the back of the top 5 here, looking to make some moves done, get some valuable championship points there. We got Ken Latta giving us the blue steel right at the camera as well. These guys Latta looking locked in, McNamara looking relaxed. So I wonder which of these guys will blink first when it comes to pit stops.
I know that I drive with my mouth open, so I don't think joining the Zoom wall is for me. Like, unless I deliberately think about closing my mouth, which I'm not doing because I'm racing. This is, yeah, a bit of blue steel, as you say. A couple of gaps just slowly beginning to form throughout the field. McNamara to Ken Latta, Troy Stone Street to Wayne Sanderson, Smart to Mark Poynton, but still our top 35 drivers within 20 seconds of race leader Jordan Ross. Still only 3/10 ahead of Wayne Walker, so he's stormed up there, but he's not yet storming away.
No, I suspected to see a bit more from Jordan there, but Wayne seems to have found his footing and is continuing to fight on at the moment. Latta in a bit of no man's land here between McLean and McNamara, but would likely become a little bit vulnerable to the likes of McLean and Stone Street behind, because without that draft, these guys are going to be able to get right up to him. And flashing back to David McCurdy now, down a couple of positions. Look at the cars behind, because this is a 3-car battle pack here as they come into the last couple of turns here. Line astern, I was expecting a move. I was somewhat right, Dan. Oh, that is brave. That is brave into the side of McKee. Hip and shouldered him wide there, but he's gotten that move done for 29th.
Braking zone at the end of the straight in these cars. There's some others where it's not. You just flow your speed into that really fast corner, but in the braking zone, downhill gets down the inside. Oh, nose chopped across in the background there. I think that's Hyde and Mulford. Hyde, I think, has Schumacher, Barrichello, Hungaro ringed that.
And we're hearing race control being called on that one as well, so definitely something untoward has gone on there. I think I saw Hyde off in the background in the last turn, and has come back on the circuit and come across the nose of Mulford. So I think that's going to be Mulford calling for an unsafe rejoin there, and luckily no one's ended up in that inside fence because it is very tight on that front straight. So these two guys will keep going for now, and we're back to the race lead.
Yeah, 270 kilometers an hour seems to be the peak speed there. Pretty slow out of Moss Corner, but then the long Mario Andretti straightaway to just pull the gears, pick up the speed, slipstream. Pretty powerful there by the appearance of things. We're on board with Wayne Walker right now, in every sense of the word. Through turn 1. Turn 2. I'm looking at that steering input going, are we dragging the right front around, or are we managing the oversteer? I think front tyre wear is something to think about here in these long corners where you're just constantly turning.
Yeah, I do agree there. You don't want to be turning too much and putting too much pressure on that outside tyre, because even then there, it looks like there's a lot of steering angle going into that to get around those faster corners. So can't judge too harshly here when you've got just about a hairpin to get onto the Mario Andretti straight, but he is right in the wheel tracks of Jordan Ross at the moment. But what this is doing is bringing in that pack behind with a little bit of draft and some pace. So whether Ross is playing this and just driving to the pace he needs to, or whether this is all he's got, he's just got this neat pack behind him that anything were to go wrong, a mistake, a battle with Wayne Walker, he can really bring in the cars behind.
Just two cars have taken fuel in this race so far. Matt Brunt and Brad Doble. They do remain on the lead lap. Brad Doble's only 20 seconds ahead of Jordan Ross right now. Will Young's got what I think is his Australia Day livery on. We've had a handful of new liveries for the new season, or also just for the new calendar year throughout the field as well. So for Jordan Ross and his teammates, I think they're a little less reflective and chrome than they once were.
Yeah, you're very right, with the SimSpeed sponsorship on the side of those cars. We'll flash back now to David Nash here and Wayne Sanderson. So this battle here was for 10th on the track at the moment, and I say 10th, but it's a battle. It's a battle all the way back to 16th at the moment. This is an absolute gaggle of cars, and let me tell you, the guys in 17th and 18th are not far behind those JWM teammates. So Wayne Sanderson has really got his work cut out for him, because this battle is looking, pack's looking energised, and looking like there might be some passes happening soon. Nothing here in the front of the pack. In the background, Chris Burridge looks to have gotten past Jamie McKnight for 14th though. McKnight's gotten back through on him. So these guys are chopping and changing and battling and really throwing their arms out there, trying to make something happen, as we're barely up to this first pit stop. They're already trying to make it happen. In the foreground, Nash down the inside of Sanderson.
Anderson just a little wide on the exit of one, still has this inside of two. Sometimes it's a double apex here, but he's a little cautious on the way in. David Nash to 10th place. Wayne Sanderson now with the angry pack of Lewis Gallen behind him. Now Lewis alongside him. Side by side into Moss. Lewis is going to have the inside there. Bit of tyre smoke from a lockup or two in the air ahead. And once you're offline, you just keep getting kicked while you're down. John Gallen gets alongside Wayne Sanderson. Jamie McKnight's going to try to follow him. Everyone else will try to follow and hang Wayne Sanderson out to dry by the looks of things.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about with the lead pack, is that there was just a moment for the guy who was at the front of a pack, he could really lose a lot of spots, and unfortunately Wayne Sanderson was in 10th a lap ago and now has dropped back to 14th, and looks like it's settled down for now, but he still has an angry pack behind him with the likes of Mackay, Hunt and Thomas behind him as well. So he's just got to find his footing now, get back into a good rhythm. We've got his zoom ball camera there as well on the bottom right, so watching him hard at work in VR. Now just find his rhythm again and try to avoid losing any more spots, otherwise it could be yet another bloodbath for him.
From one group of cars to looks like Logan Barnett just a little wide, caught a tiny bit of the grass exiting turn 3 back there as he's trying to pursue Matt Scholes with Christian Smart and Mike Poynton just behind him. There's Smart. Oh, hello, that's almost 3 wide up here. Wayne Sanderson is still being bullied around. Scott Mackay to the inside of him. Travis Hunt was also trying to be part of that group. He's now back with his teammate, Jeff Thomas. Sanderson, the inside of the penultimate corner, the outside of the final corner. Almost gets a little bit of a hello from Travis Hunt there. As Michael Stewart hits pit lane. A couple of others follow him, Scholes and Barnett. So we're seeing a few pit stops happen now at the end of lap 11.
Yeah, that's it. So a few more people starting to come in now that those tanks have drained down a little bit. Potentially also trying to get away from this pack that we've got going on here. The racing is very intense at the moment. All that's going to do is slow some of these guys down. So Sanderson has a little bit of reprieve now that Mackay's gotten past him. But the way we were seeing Travis Hunt race there, he wants to get past and make something happen here on Sanderson. Hunt is actually down on where he started, as well as his teammate Jeff Thomas. So they're looking to make some ground up quickly. On board with Hunt now on the zoom wall as well, and on his bonnet, as we watch him try to find the right line to attack Wayne Sanderson down the Murray and Andretti straight. Mackay, big moment up in front of them, so we're going to have a prime time view here as Sanderson tries to draft up alongside Mackay and make something happen down into turn 8. They're side by side, nearly bumping along the straight, trying to side draft. Travis Hunt watching this, chewing his gum faster and faster as he waits to see what happens. They'll stay side by side. Hunt is going to try and get something happening there. No, Sanderson's going to cut back inside, block off any run that Hunt has. And now, can Hunt get something going at the last turn? Nothing to be had there. Wow. My goodness, we're fighting for 14 side by side, nearly hitting down the back straight, excuse me. This is hard going out there.
I'm going to have to look into this, but I'm pretty sure that the Supercars Mustang has the Australian market brake and tail lights on it, while the GT3 has got the US market ones. Plenty of work trailing the brake in places to rotate the car through that final sector as well, where you're constantly bleeding off the speed and changing direction through the ever-tightening sequence.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And a good note on the brake lights there, David. You've always got a great attention to detail on those ones, so you'll have to check back in with us and let us know. But very right. This track... Oh, and we're just going to flash back to the front here. So these guys have been battling away lap after lap lately, and although there's been no positions change, Wayne Walker has just about gotten within the closest he's been since that move was made by Jordan Ross on the second lap. So Walker has some late stint pace here, and he's looking to use it. Car's looking a little bit more responsive when he turns it in there, getting it nice and tight and trying to get the run. He's not letting that gap blow out to even 3/10 at the moment as we come now into turn 2. So Walker's looking hungry, wants to make a move happen. The question is whether Ross is willing and happy to let it happen as well. But keeping in mind, any move, any slowdown, you've got the likes of Young and Gamble. We can see them there in the background that would be hungry to take a higher podium or the lead of this race.
I was almost thinking we might see one of this top 6 dive for the pit lane there as they came through the final sector. Did not happen. Ross leading Walker, Paul Young, Scott Gamble, Darren Lobb and Sean McNamara in this top 6. Ken Latter is little no man's land for Stone Street. So Andretti straight here, we get up to 250 Ks now. Expect the slipstream to feel pretty powerful as you come over that crest, and then rapidly need to begin braking and turning right. Did you hear Adrian Burgess talking about these Mustang exhaust exits?
I heard something on the Apex Hunters United podcast, yeah, and some of the specifics around why they couldn't use them.
Well, the Mustang exhaust exits at a 90 degree there, and the Camaro's at like a 45 degree or something. Do we got a Camaro exhaust cam?
We're doing some investigative work here. Trying to see the angle of these exhausts, and you're very right. I think they said, was it the Mustang exhaust style they've also used on the Supra?
Everyone's going the same way for 2026. I just can't remember which was which. So the Camaro will change. Pit entry to our right, and no one goes for it.
hard as usual. Still in this, where he started in 4th, but very much in the fight for a podium or the win tonight. Those leaders have not skipped away from him, and he's been right there with them. All these 15 laps so far are now on the lap 16, so focused as always, Mr. Gamble, ready to take the fight to the leaders should there be a little slip up. And we won't get confirmation on that on the exhaust at the moment, because we've got the Streamlabs side skirt on his car just hiding it for us, but that's okay because we're seeing him wheeling and dealing, seeing some of the suspension action actually in that front tyre as you come through these bumps and these hills and these crests as the cars move around. So quite an interesting view to have a look at there.
Search was thorough, exhaustive. The off-board cameras, you can see where the exhaust is built in. You can see it is different between this Camaro and this Mustang, and that will be maybe not changing on iRacing, but it'll be changing in reality at some point. We kind of lost McNamara from this leading group. So his last lap was a couple of tenths off. It might be a couple of tenths off again now. It's looking like a leading 5 with Darren Lobb in 5th. 2 laps in a row, McNamara drops a bunch of time to our leaders. Don't know what's going on for him.
You know what? Knowing McNamara, it wouldn't surprise me if there's a bit of fuel saving or something going on there to try and extend this stint a little bit longer and do something a bit funny with tyres. So I'm not going to count him out on pace just yet. We'll keep an eye on him, but he's definitely in these last couple of laps, like 14 and 15, he's dropped 6 tenths between those 2 laps off of this lead pack. So made up a bit of time on lap 16, but definitely he's out of draft range now, which is big because it means he's going to find it a lot harder to get back up to this pack when you've got this 5-car lead who are all drafting each other down the particularly long Andretti straight.
Jordan Ross leading his Ducklings over the hills and far away, defending the right-hand side of the road versus Wayne Walker. We're going to see pit entry here maybe from Ross. He wants to be on the right-hand side of the road because you need to be battling side by side if you're going to head for pit entry. No, and no. 5 carry on, so does McNamara. Next group. I saw Justin McLean get a little bit sideways out of Moss Corner this lap. I think that let everyone get pretty close down the Andretti straightaway to him. We're reaching this point where that left rear tyre is so critical to traction out of a bunch of these corners. We've just been working it a little bit for a little while. Thomas and Hunt, teammates, pit together right now.
Definitely a bit of strategy there, I reckon, to stay together if the pace is good between the two of them. They've been involved in a couple of these battle packs we've seen, so maybe they're thinking if they can get out on their own, they can make something happen. But John Gallen, up 3 positions and having a pretty good run tonight, and he'll be looking to try and sneak into the top 10, but he's got a good view of this battle up ahead with David Nash and Justin McLean. McLean a little bit wide there. You're talking about that traction on the left rear, David, and just McLean was trying to get the thing turned and then couldn't get the acceleration he probably wanted onto the Andretti straight, but he's off and going now. You can see the power of that draft here. Gallen up to Nash. He's closing. Are we going to see a move here from Gallen down into turn 8? No, the door's going to be closed and he's smacked that inside curve and gone a bit wide. That's what he's got for his troubles.
No reaction to the JWM pit stops from this group or from our leaders. So we do carry on. A few others. Wayne Sanderson is going to come in. He was being boxed and beaten and bullied earlier on, so he's going to look for an undercut versus some of those drivers he was battling earlier. Pace drop-off hasn't been outrageous though, so take for example race leader Jordan Ross. His best was a 19.3, his last was a 19.7, and that's true of most through the field. We haven't seen a second per lap drop off yet. We've only seen 5 or 6 tenths.
Yeah, that's interesting because the track temp is coming up slowly as this race goes on. So we've already gone up 2 or 3 degrees since we started. So definitely going to be a little bit of extra wear there. But these guys seem to be looking after their tyres fairly well. And admittedly, it's not super hot out there. So if they can look after their tyres, not overwork them, the heat in the track isn't going to do too much damage to them tonight. But here we go, McNamara in. So first of our sort of leading group to pit in makes sense with some of that. Makes sense with that drop-off that we saw. Nash and Lewis follow him in as well. So we're starting to see a few more of the field. Mackay come in and get that first pit stop out of the way, just about a third of the way into this one.
Yeah, looking at almost at about half the field has pitted, half the field hasn't just yet. Track temperature, no real movement, but the sun remains out, the cars remain racing on it. It just climbs a little bit because while the weather is static, the track is still dynamic. Getting used. 5 here underneath a second and a half, Jordan Ross to Darren Lobb. Sat in that 5th place. Scott Gamble's just sat in 4th, and it's been a little bit follow Jordan Ross for the last 10 laps or so. Jordan Ross comes to pit. Will they follow him then, or try to do something different?
Is it?
So Wayne Walker's in. Yeah, top 4 stay out. Jordan Ross stays out. Young stays out. Wayne Walker is going to look potentially for an undercut. What fuel's he going to take? This is always the way with these 2 compulsory pit stop races, that there's an amount of fuel that you're going to need to take, and what you don't take at the first stop, you have to take at the second stop. So you can have a quick first stop, but pay it later, or take a lot of fuel at your first stop and have a quick second stop. McNamara is the leading car to have made a stop at the moment. He's found pretty good clean air. That's pretty positive for him. He took 18 seconds of fuel. Wayne Walker's just gone past that to about 20 seconds of fuel. Walker with a little bit more fuel than McNamara, but that tyre undercut doesn't look too bad. Walker's still going to blend ahead. What's your favourite Walker blend?
I don't think I have one, David. You're going to have to tell me yours.
I don't drink brown spirits. It's floral clear ones for me. So my favourite blend is probably, yeah, fruity notes. This is race leader coming in. He's followed by the whole rest of the pack. It's a 56km/h pit lane speed limit here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, but it is quite a short pit lane from entry to exit, and even the pit exit lets you cut a little bit of turn 1. Logan Barnett with a penalty somewhere there, potentially on his pit entry, maybe speed. That 56 k's an hour, struggling with that. But Jordan Ross hits his markers, remembering that 21 seconds of fuel is what Wayne Walker took. You're going to need to take that much or less if you want to maintain your lead, but you could give yourself a strategy advantage if you took a little bit more, and then there was a safety car that condensed the field later on. Ross just about matches it. Here's Wayne Walker round the outside of turn 1. There's Jordan Ross in the pit exit. And once we get stops from everyone, that's going to look a lot like Wayne Walker leading the race again. Sean McNamara, new fastest lap of the race as his tyres come in.
And you know what? That's really interesting. Wayne Walker and Jordan Ross have taken almost identical amount of fuel on there too. So Walker's just gotten out there, gotten into clear air and shown a bit of that pace that he's got underneath that bonnet and managed to leapfrog over Jordan Ross. So in terms of strategy, they are basically line astern at the moment. Now Walker's probably thinking, with Tim Mulford ahead of him, move, because Walker's got a bit of this gap. There you go, he should be able to round him up here and get that move done. But now we've got first and second have flipped. Mulford nearly had a moment there, but they will roll on through.
Well, in theory, it's blue flags for Tim Mulford. He'll be aware that these guys are... Oh, it's not. Tim Mulford hasn't pitted yet. They've got that advantage on him, a significant tyre advantage. So no. Ladder and John Gallen that haven't stopped. Here's a look down the inside and there's big contact. Wayne Walker gets sent into a slide, not that far up from Jordan Ross. He realises that he's going to redress it, and now Sean McNamara is the effective leader of this race.
You know what? It's very rare we see Jordan Ross make a leap like that and make a mistake. He's usually fairly clean when it comes to that. Now, he did redress that, so he recognised the mistake and kept going. But what this has done is McNamara's early pit stop with a bit of fresh air has actually gotten him in a really good position here. And this is what I said. Don't count McNamara out. He's got pretty good pace and he's got good strategy. So still a long way to go in this one, but he's really played himself well into this one when we thought he might have just been off the pace there and not quite in the running for the win tonight.
John Gallen, Tim Mulford, Stephen Kennedy. That's it. Everyone else has been in for one pit stop. Logan Barnett is unfortunately been in for 3. So he had, that pit entry penalty. He had some other stuff going on, and we might have Logan Barnett out of this race. Unfortunately, as it's kind of unraveled for him. Here's McNamara now. He's got Mulford again between him and Walker and Ross. So Walker and Ross are going to have to pass Mulford again. We've got contact in the final corner for Jeff Thomas. Someone's clipped his rear. Probably the driver redressing it. Don't adjust your dial. It's not a replay.
Justin McLean there looking like the potential culprit for that contact with Jeff Thomas, having redressed that. It'll be very interesting to see how Race Control handles that. I'm going to flash forward here to Tim Mulford, who last time was happy to let Walker through. Oh, that's a bumper-to-bumper contact there all the way through. Not feeling so friendly on this second time through. Maybe he's going to sidestep here. Remembering Mulford this is for position, so he hasn't pitted yet. But this is affecting Tim Mulford's race as well, so he's not keen to just let these guys through and stop his car on the outside. But what it's done is Scott Gamble now is right on the back of Jordan Ross and Wayne Walker here, as Mulford and Walker still side by side. Walker's going to throw it up the inside, go around the outside at turn 9. Jordan Ross will make it around Gamble down the inside, nearly hitting Paul Young. Repairs required. What's going on there?
Oh, one of the downshifts might have come too early, over-revved the engine. It's the smoke and the oil coming out of the back of the car more than the damage on any panels. He was part of this top 5 group. The meatball flag has appeared for him. And by all accounts, that looks like it will have been too eager, too quick with the downshifts and over-revved the engine. We're past the critical lap number. So I think Paul Young might get away with this. So I think he can just go second stop now and get it to the end. It's not the strategy he will have wanted, but he can avoid it being too catastrophic. Jordan Ross down the inside again versus Wayne Walker in Moss Corner. This time it's all a little bit cleaner, and all of this battling, all of this everything has really benefited Sean McNamara. He's about 3 seconds up the road. Jordan Ross is going to look to close that quick as he can.
Not if Wayne Walker has anything to say about it. He wants to try and make something happen here. He won't. He didn't quite have the run. But Walker, I reckon, is wanting that spot back. He probably thought he had that pace, but Jordan Ross just seems to have a little bit more and is a bit more eager to make these moves happen. So now, line astern here, you'll have McNamara just in the foreground there. Then you've got Ross, Walker, and Gamble. In the background, we've also got Mulford and Lobb battling it out as Mulford continues to stay out and run his car dry. Just starting to settle down now after what's been a pretty crazy pit cycle.
Yes, indeed, and we still haven't had John Gallen or Tim Mulford pit yet. We had Kennedy come in, I think. Yeah, he's just leaving pit lane now. Christian Spart's got a problem. Is it similar? He's also in the final sector and coming in for his second stop. Now, I don't see much smoke, but he was going slowly. John Gallen comes into the pit lane. Mulford might be in this lap as well. What happened? just here
There it
for
goes.
Paul Young.
So it's definitely let go on him there, but he's managed to cruise it through. So we're going to watch from the outside here. I'm coming to turn 8, and there we go. On the downshift, it looked like in car, when he went into 4th, that's when it went on him. So luckily he was near the pits there.
Does the RPM graphic work in slow mode? For shame. We can't bring you that and be like, this is exactly where it went wrong. And does he have his wiper button and his pit lane speed limiter button bound to the same button? That wouldn't make sense. Gonna take a look at Christian Smart. RPM don't display on the dash here, but oh, the rears lock up when he asks for 4th. No, not good.
That might be where that meatball came from, is that potentially a bit of engine there, but definitely that side hit there he copped on the front right. So he was able to just go straight into the pits and get that all.
He had to coast the whole way in. It was from the second he asked for 4th gear, the engine was gone. There was no smoke to blow. It just coasted through the final corners into the pit lane and into his pit box. This is the leading group now. Sean McNamara, Jordan Ross, Wayne Walker, Scott Gamble, Darren Lobb, 2.5 back. Tim Mulford makes his pit stop. He's one of the very, very last to do so after 27 laps. So Ken Latta comes up into 6th, Chad Lewis into 7th. Troy Stone Street. David Nash and Scott Mackay will be our top 10 with 1 stop completed. Bear in mind, 2 stops completed for some.
Yeah, that's it. So I think through the field here, we've got Paul Young and Christian Smart, who we just covered, who have done their second and final stop, presumably for the race. Matt Brunt is their other competitor. So right now, all of those are further down the pack, obviously. We'll see if they work their way back through as this race goes on and if they're in clean air. But we're going to go and look at on-track action here. So Jordan Ross just clearing some blue flag drivers. Wayne Walker throwing it down the inside with Scott Gamble not far behind to clear some of these drivers in the way, and they will just carry on. Jordan Ross has a nice little gap there. And there is, speaking of, Matt Brunt, who is one of our 3 cars who's done their second stop, there he is being lapped. So he is now a lap down, despite having done that second stop.
Well, there's drama out on the racetrack somewhere, and it's for Matt Scholes. Now, he doesn't have a meatball flag, but what he doesn't have is a front bumper, and we go safety car because Scholes is stuck there on the inside of turn 2. There's a lot of interesting marks through the grass there, and no doubt in a second we'll take a look at what's happened to Matt Scholes to bring out the safety car for the very first time at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
Go through turn 1. He's just gotten wide there and onto the dirt, and that's shot him over into the right-hand wall. And he's somehow... We're gonna have a look at Dan Hall. We're just hearing in our ear as he had to go Dukes of Hazzard, rally spec, whatever you want to call it, over the grass on board here. Watches this comes across. Wow, what quick reaction there from Dan Hall to shoot over to the left and get away and avoid an incident. That was excellent driving from all involved, but particularly Dan Hall.
Everyone who hasn't made their second stop is diving in to get it done. Sean McNamara, Jordan Ross, Wayne Walker, Scott Gamble, Darren Lobb. Feels silly at this juncture past the critical lap number to not take your second stop if you could. So the question becomes, where do drivers like Paul Young, Chris Burridge, Mark Poynton end up? A few of the drivers in the back half of the field have already been able to come in and out. So this is our leaders getting it done. There's Jordan Ross in the third pit stall, Wayne Walker in the pit stall at the very, very exit. Mr. Justin McLean coming in there. And away we go. Scott Gamble and Darren Lobb are going to lead Wayne Walker and Sean McNamara. Remember, Gamble and Lobb, for the whole first stint of this race, have just sat in that tow. Maybe they've saved, and this compression of the field has helped them to just jump with 1 or 2 seconds less of fuel. Scott Gamble leads the race for the first time today.
Well, you know what? You just never quite know what these guys are doing when they're stuck in a pack like that, and we think they're racing as hard as they can, but really they're playing the strategy game. They are keeping an eye on it, and I reckon he's got the clutch in. He's running it in a high gear. He is trying to save as much as he can under this safety car, so it wouldn't surprise me if Gamble is operating at a net negative at the moment. There you go, the RPM is very low, and he's trying to save as much as he can to make it to the end of this thing. But great strategy call for both him and Lobb, and Walker in third, McNamara in fourth now, and then Jordan Ross has gone all the way down to fifth out of this.
Gamble doesn't look quite as pleased with himself as you might expect, so we're thinking that him and Lobb, having saved fuel earlier, are still going to need to save fuel in the back half. Wayne Walker took 26 seconds, so then he's somewhere in between, and then McNamara and Jordan Ross took 29. So, yeah, everyone in our top three, as you would, looking to save as much fuel as possible behind safety car. Get a load of Jordan Ross in fifth gear, 2,700 RPM, then the clutch in and it drops down to idle, which is about 1,400 it would seem. I saw a dyno sheet of a Mazda RX-7 where peak torque was at 6,000 RPM.
Peak torque?
Yeah! I was like, I guess that's how they work. Perhaps the way that the turbo works as well. But I think peak torque for something like this would be a little bit lower. Only, obviously, the power is the torque multiplied by the RPM, so the peak torque often comes a little bit lower. And then you keep making power as you keep picking up RPMs. You don't need peak power behind the safety car at 80 k's an hour, though, is why they're in the gears that they are and the clutching that they are.
If anything, you need the opposite of peak power on the safety car with these guys that are saving fuel. They're doing everything they can to, if they could, they'd turn their cars off and let it roll down the hills around here, if you ask me. So they've still got another, I reckon, at least lap or two under the safety car. Oh, they're doing wave rounds now, so potentially we might see them go this lap, potentially next lap, but these guys, the ones at the front, top three, will want as many laps as they can under the safety car to get that fuel back in the black for them, because otherwise it could be a real long run to the finish here with guys like McNamara and Ross who are fueled properly to the end.
Most of the field was already on the lead lap, so there's not too many cars getting wave arounded. It might be literally just Ricky Hyde. Matt Brunt might have been a lap down and got it back as everyone stopped. So he's just coming around to catch the tail of the field about now. Ricky Hyde might have been the only driver needed to be waved around, so that kind of suggests we could get this show going relatively quickly. And hearing safety car in this lap. So, nail your colours to the flag here, Brock. Do we get another safety car? If we do or if we don't, who in the top 5 are you backing in?
I think you have to back in Jordan Ross and Sean McNamara for a podium out of this, because if you've got a fuel save, particularly when you're going to do it in these heavy braking zones, you're going to be very vulnerable. So they're my two picks.
I reckon Wayne Walker might be in the Goldilocks here, where he sits third at the moment, but with a couple more litres of fuel than Gamble or Lobb. He's got 2 or 3 seconds more fuel. That could be as much as 10 litres more fuel, couldn't it? They refill pretty quickly, pretty big tanks. It could be a significant difference. I reckon Wayne Walker is in the nice spot in between. Third with the track position. but not going to need to save as much as Gamble and Lob, we would think. Safety car's pulled away. Scott Gamble is just holding that 80 k's an hour all the way through turn 8, turn 9, past pit entry here, and turn 10. And now he goes. Paul Young suddenly right back in this race. Look at him in 8th place there, and I think he's jostling for more positions once again. He was part of our top 6. He had that problem with the downshift in the final sector. Safety cars brought him right back in at this. We said that he could make his second pit stop without too much penalty. And then the timing of the safety car meant everyone else made their second pit stop, not too far apart from him. So his tyres are only really 3 or 4 racing laps different than all of those around him. Scott Gamble still leads us, but it'll be interesting to see what happens when we exit Moss onto the Andretti straight away. Who can keep their right foot down the longest?
Yeah, Gamble here is the one with the biggest disadvantage, I would imagine. Talking fuel numbers before the safety car restart, he needs a draft to help him save fuel, but he has got to go forward to try and keep his angry pack behind him. So he has got to keep pedal to the metal, while the likes of Darren Lobb and Wayne Walker start drafting up to the back of him, as we've just seen there from Lobb. Not able to get up close enough, but if you look in the background there, Wayne Walker and McNamara are right on the back of Lobb, keeping him honest. So I think we're going to have a bit of a battle pack really start to come alive here. Some of these faster guys trying to make their way past the fuel savers, but right now Gamble just has a slight but comfortable lead on Darren Lobb, which means he's not under any significant threat, while Lobb has a little bit more to worry about behind him.
Some quick laps right now, having new tyres on, having been behind the safety car a little bit. Restart lap is a personal best for Jordan Ross. Personal best for a few others in the field. Scott Gamble's got half a second, but Darren Lobb, Wayne Walker, Sean McNamara, Jordan Ross, absolutely bumper to bumper there. Ken Latta in 6th. And a gap to Stone Street, so Paul Young's going to want to get his moves done there if he senses this top 5 or 6 getting away. There's Young right behind Stone Street exiting Moss.
Back of this, looking at the back of this pack here, so you've got Latta who's off the back of Jordan Ross. Ross has actually dropped off with McNamara a bit, which is surprising to me considering how much pace Jordan has showed earlier in this race. So that's keeping Latta just loosely attached to this top 5 at the moment, on board with Latta here at the moment, with his blue steel gaze locked in. He is focusing on the back end of the Synergy Sim Racing Mustang up ahead of him and just trying to put everything he can into the car, trying to keep up with some of his nearly fastest laps of the race as well. They come around into turn 2 here. Interesting to see some of the different lines they're taking to try and find a bit of grip and some speed. But at the moment, all light is stirred, no one blinking, trying to wring the neck of this thing.
The driver's angle, you can't see a whole lot going in there. Practice and practice and practice to know where the track ends, because if you get in a little bit hot, touch the grass in the middle, it costs you so much time. You'll end up on a little adventure. As finding the slipstream, 6th gear over that crest, so plenty of headway still in the gearing before the rev limiter in 6th. The hill to downshift 4th gear to give us a bit of engine braking on the rear axle and help the car turn through the long corners. 3rd, but not 2nd.
Yeah, flowing the speed really nicely there, and I guess that's a real show of this track. You know, you said from the air it looks simple when we did our track map earlier on, David, and that's perfectly true, but when you see it from the driver's eye here and just how much that flow through these long corners, through the, you know, turn 8, 9, 10, like it all contributes to overall lap time. So Ken there is being really smooth. He's not going down another gear and rolling the speed through in that higher gear, and I think that's where we're seeing that's how you've got to get the pace out of it. On to another driver who seems to be finding a bit of pace here up from where he started, Troy Stone Street in 7th. managing to keep the charging Paul Young behind after Young is trying to make up some positions. I was hoping I wouldn't have to eat my words there as Young looked very fast into Moss corner. Nothing to be done there though, and Stone Street will keep 7th as they come around onto the Anthony Straight. Really a two-car battle here, a few cars behind who might be in it. We'll see if something's going to happen here. Stone Street has gone right out to the outside. Young is going to come up the inside here. In fact, I think Troy's just given that one away and gone, Paul, you go chase it, mate.
But a gap has formed between this group and the leading group as all of that took place. Jamie McKnight there in 9th is up 4 spots, as you can see on the timing column. So as the 2 pit stops and then the safety car have played out, he's ended up in the top 10. Aaron Lobbs ended up from 7th in 2nd at the moment. Got question marks on his fuel and his fuel economy. And then Mackay, David Nash, Justin McLean. Here's another look at the footwork. I wear Alpine Stars race boots.
I wear Target branded socks because you know that's what real sim racing pros wear.
I wear H&M socks. Sorry, Uniqlo socks.
Mate, I need to get a high-paying job to afford the Uniqlo socks, but I'll chat to my partner and see if I can pull some money out of the war chest for them. See if I can get some Grippier socks. McLean here, we love watching his footwork, which we can't see his socks just barely. Instead, we can see Sparko racing shoes. So he takes this very seriously. He's got the heel toe down pat as he comes through here. It just shows you there's a good bit of modulation that goes into the throttle. And even through here, some really good footwork through turn 9. As you're trying to come through, you're changing gears, it's all happening. So it's not just smooth steering. It's throttle, it's brake, it's clutch, it's everything in these cars through just about every corner. So great to see that footwork, because we always get to see the steering wheel work. So McLean's giving us a different vantage point in this race.
Next group's led by Simon Haynes, with Orman and Dean Logsdale. Two drivers have ended up deeper in the field in this group. So Ray Smith and Wayne Sanderson is in this. Exactly how he lost as many spots as he did around the safety car and his 2nd pit stop. So maybe overfuel that or something. Or has he lost out pitting just a lap before the safety car came in? It's all drama behind Logsdale and Kirby by the looks of things.
Logsdale has absolutely sent it into Moss corner there, and you can see that frustration after that contact. So he's fired in there, and it's taken someone out and absolutely blocked up the rest of the field. So here you go, you've got Logsdale, Michael Stewart here. Oh, excuse me, that's Logsdale, apologies, with David Kirby behind. So you just see a replay there, because it all happened very quickly. Logsdale's going to come into the pits now. The rest of the field will go flying by him through their last turn.
He must have sustained some damage, like some steering or something. He's come in for the 3rd time in this race. We weren't necessarily expecting him in. Jordan Ross has just passed Sean McNamara for 4th, I note. Interesting that it might maybe beginning to play out up there. Scott Gamble leading, now has Darren Lobb a lot closer to him. Wayne Walker a lot closer to that. Jordan Ross lost a tiny bit of time needing to pass Sean McNamara there, but he'll close it quickly, no doubt. Still quite a few laps to play for this one. I think the timing of that safety car has brought everyone's 2nd pit stop earlier than they would have liked otherwise. Darren Lobb in the slipstream and then in the 50 metres of coast or so behind Scott Gamble into turn 8.
Yeah, I'd agree there, David. I think you're very right. A lot of these drivers pitted around that lap 20 mark, so really trying to split this race into even thirds, essentially. And what this has done is it cut that middle stint in half, effectively. Now they've got to do half the race on one set of tyres. Yes, they can get up to enough fuel, but these guys are having to fuel save because we think anyway they've underfueled to try and get some track position, which so far is actually working quite well for them. And Gamble and Lob are just happy to go line astern, Walker behind them. But I would be getting a little bit worried that Jordan Ross has been released from behind McNamara, because Ross is one of the guys who put on the most amount of fuel at that last pit stop. And he won't need to save, or not much anyway, and he will have pace to burn. So one to watch there. Lob continues to get closer to Gamble, but I wonder if he's just playing the same game, David, of just trying to save that fuel while he can.
Fuel to burn, got roads to drive, keep on rocking in the free world, Brock.
I like some Neil Young on a Thursday night.
Paul Young is in 7th now, so he'd really love them to start battling or really have to start saving in that top 6. So he needs his next group of drivers on through. How was his last lap? 20.095. 20.057 for Scott Gamble leading the race. Now Gamble crosses the line again, about the same again. And Paul Young about the same again. So that's what we're doing. And offer you a 120 flat or a 120.9 or maybe, just maybe, a 119.9 for Ross and Latin.
Yeah, so Ross, I mean, that pace is showing because he is catching, but Paul Young at the moment is keeping it clean there. A good recovery after that engine issue with the downshifts earlier on. So if this is where he ends up, I think you'd be happy with that, considering he was way down pretty much last on the lead lap at one point. So he will continue to cruise on, as you said, David, try and hope for something to happen with this lead pack and try and make something of it. As he comes through Moss Corner now with a bit of a gaggle behind him with the likes of Stone Street, McKnight, Lewis, Gallen and Mackay all following up from behind there as they, as you said earlier, they scream down this back straight, all in the draft, all trying to save fuel, all trying to make moves.
Jordan Ross is onto the tail of Wayne Walker now, and that 5 top 6 really compressed at this point, running a pace that Scott Gamble is running, and I think a few of them could pass him but don't want to. I think we're seeing this play out long form at the moment. Flashing back a couple of laps to the antics and shenanigans at Moss Corner.
Lucky there weren't more cars involved there. Logsdale down the inside and continues on, but very good rejoin there by Luke Orman, who we were on board with there when he got hit. And that would have been a pretty big shock to him to get that level of contact, but he did great job to save the car and then not spear it back on track and take out about 4 other cars with him. So I imagine we'll probably see a penalty for something like that from race control, but luckily everyone could keep on going with not too much damage.
Yeah, Logsdale's pit stop immediately after that was just 10 seconds, so I think he took a fast repair and put a new set of tyres on. He might have done his steering or front splitter with that. Didn't have a meatball flag, but he pitted immediately as if he thought he had some damage, knew he had some damage or something. So Ross just leaving an extra car length to the top 3. Big drama though for Lorne McKee. Is that car going anywhere out of the final corner? There's a lot of damage on the right front and he's come to a stop. He hasn't cued the mic to radio control just yet. I imagine that could be very similar to what we saw that brought out the first safety car. You go a tiny bit wide, you touch the grass and you spin into the inside wall. He's moving again, but it's a very damaged car. In the battle for 8th and 9th, Jamie McKnight's alongside Troy Stone Street. Looking to get down the inside here. There I'd want to be to make this move stick. I think he's just got it.
Well positioned there by McKnight. He just got the car in front and he's just scooched it over a little bit on the track there to block an inside dive from Stone Street coming into turn 9. So he'll take that position there and continue on now in 8th place. So Jamie having a good run tonight. We've seen some flashes of speed from him. We know his pedigree in these series, so it's good to see him out here having some fun and getting some passes made. But Stone Street, he's managed to clear up from Stone Street. Stone Street behind has already got Chad Lewis and John Gallen to worry about right up behind him. No rest for the wicked. Troy's going to have plenty to worry about as Jamie skips off into the distance to try and chase Paul Young up ahead.
Ross has just disappeared off my screen. I hope he comes back. He was in 4th position. Also some connections. No, it's because Jordan Ross is in the wall at Moss Corner. David Kirby's also calling in to race control, but for Jordan Ross, has he had a technical issue and then it's ended up in the wall, or has he gone in the wall and then begun to drop?
Showing as if he disconnected on my timing, like he was greyed out as if he had disappeared. So I wonder if he's had an internet glitch or something similar, and that's what's caused this. That's very unfortunate. We'll have a look at the replay here and just see exactly what's happened to Jordan. So I believe that was at Moss Corner. He was deep in the wall. Looks like he's by himself here, and he's just going to go straight off. That looks to me potentially like an issue there, because there was no steering angle on that car.
Back and forth between 2nd and 3rd gear there. What's that about? No, I think he's had a problem of some kind here. So,
you're right. Look at those gears.
Yeah, that's not right. He's shedding bits.
And Ross is going to try and link this back to the pits, because we know every point counts in this series, so he didn't want to just force a safety car and escape and be out of this thing. So true racer that's in him, he's going to go and get a fast repair and get back out there. But he's now going to be a lap down and then some potentially. But very unfortunate for Jordan. It looks like that was a technical issue that's taken him out of this one. But now that's left this top 3 without a bit of that pressure they were feeling behind them. And now they don't have to worry about the Big Blue Synergy Sim Racing car, and instead can focus on the top 3 and who is going to come out on top in this one.
Because we're still 3 laps away from 75% race distance to be a classified finisher. So that could be a target as well. Just to reiterate everything that I've seen that instant, though, I don't think that was a mistake from Jordan Ross. I don't think he did anything wrong there. Clearly, his wheel, his shifter, his pedals, or his computer or something has given him some grief there, because that is not the sort of thing you give as an input, as an instruction. It's a shifter that's malfunctioned or something. And if it was his shifter malfunctioning and everything else was fine, you would have problems slowing and turning the car if you couldn't get the downshifts as you wanted them, you couldn't get into the gear you wanted. You would end up doing what he did there, which was running on and into the wall.
I completely agree with you there, David. I don't think that's anything to do with Jordan and his driving. I think that's absolutely a technical issue, and he's actually rolled out in front of the leaders. So in front of Gamble, Lobb and Walker here. So I assume Jordan might actually be able to just run away from this pack and avoid going down another lap here, because he's in clean air. He's not part of this battle. He has plenty of fuel on board now, and as you can see, he's got that fast repair, so he's nice and prepared. But we'll focus now on this top 3 here, who still There you go. There's Jordan up ahead of his top 3 packs. Unfortunately, not battling for these positions because of that incident. But now that's left Gamble, Lob, and Walker to duke it out and see who can come out on top when we're in the final sort of 30% of this race.
Jordan Ross has completed 43 laps. He'll complete 44 at the end of this, and he needs to complete 48 laps to be a Class of 5 finisher. There's a few other cars a bit down, so Lorne McKee is just on the lead lap. Dean Logsdale is half a lap back. Live standings say if we finish where we are, Scott Gamble is right in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I think this result here for Scott, if he can grab the win or even second tonight, that'll really put him in a strong position. And this is the midway point of our championship. We're starting to talk serious. The drop rounds will come into effect in the next couple of rounds too, the first of them anyway. So this is a great night for Scott, and it's all because he kept himself in there. So now we have a look at a little bit further back of the pack at Scott Mackay and Mark Point. Mackay up 5, albeit I think he had dropped a couple of positions when we saw him last. So he is likely trying to work his way back up, or continue to work his way through the pack as Matt Scholes. Repairs required again, but it looks like
been on pit lane 23 minutes already. So
that's why you turn the engine off.
Side by side in Moss Corner, not picking up exactly who that is. Might have been sort of Rushworth, Doble, Sharp, that part of the field. Oh, hang on, hold on to it. Yeah, how about side by side down the Andretti straightaway as well, trying to get a little bit of that side draft going on. Side by side here. Rushworth just trying to slot in ahead of Doble.
Bit of contact there. Doble just giving the back of Rushworth's car just a kiss, let him know he's there, a bit of Morse code, you know what it's like, but Rushworth will get that move made and into 32nd after coming back from a penalty earlier as well. So he's trying to work his way back to the field a little bit at the moment. I'll carry on as is.
That the updated Ford Mustang GT3, when you have the pit lane speed limiter on, the headlights flash Morse code, and the Morse code is UTE. So, clearly, they're going to bring a Ford Mustang Ute to the Australian market.
You know what, David, I didn't hear that, but I'm going to choose to believe you and go, that's an excellent piece of marketing from Ford's investment. I'm going to be right there with you.
We've had the Mustang Mach-E. There are very serious rumours and also statements from the CEO that the Mustang brand might get more models, like there might be a 4-door Mustang. So, if we can get a longer wheelbase 4-door Mustang, Mustang truck, Mustang Ute, it's possible.
I'm certainly excited by the prospect. Why not grow the Mustang family in Australia and across the world? I'm loving it. We'll keep chatting Mustangs through this one because we are, after all, racing in them here tonight in the V8 Vets.
Ask yourself, what could be more dangerous on the roads than a Ford Ranger? Ford Mustang Ranger.
God, that's combining two demographics that probably don't need to be combined on the road. Oh, goodness.
Getting a look at Ray Smith and David Kirby. Ray Smith looks like he's about to jump out of a helicopter. David Kirby looking like he could do with stronger air conditioning.
Sporting the singlet there to keep himself cool while he's racing. Smart way to go racing, particularly if you're in a warmer climate. It definitely helps with the airflow to not be too hot. And watching these guys as they flow through the last turn here. And Jordan Ross has just come in now, so that could be him parking it now that he's actually made it past that 75% lap mark. We'll keep an eye on that.
The thing is, he's completed 47 laps. Doesn't he need to complete 48? Because he was, I think, by coming in, he's 2 laps behind the leaders. He might have miscalculated this.
I wonder if he's potentially had more issues with that shifter, and that's why he's chosen to come in to try and fix it and then get back out to get that last lap or 2 in, because it seemed odd that he just come in a lap too short, but nevertheless unfortunate for him, and currently sitting on pit lane.
Here's our leading 3. Space created in 4th place from where Jordan Ross was. Ken Latta and Sean McNamara haven't been much able to close in. Paul Young's actually been catching them from 6th, so he's finally able to make some inroads there. 9th, 7th, Stone Street up in 8th. Chad Lewis and David Nash leading the top 10 right now. Again, we're not expecting any more pit stops from anyone after our safety car at about the halfway point of this race. It's the top 3, then the next 2, and then Paul Young in 6th. Scott Gamble has led basically every lap, and I think every lap since the safety car, but how would you like that to change? Darren Lobb has a look around the outside of turn 8. Wayne Walker doesn't seem like he wants any of this just yet.
Yeah, Wayne's playing this very safe at the moment, and you know, if the guys ahead of him really are that low on fuel and start to need to do some heavy saving, this could be where you said it before, David, that Wayne Walker was the guy you'd back, safety car or not, to the end of this race to take the win. And right now, I think he is in the box seat. He's got more fuel than the guys in front of him. He's probably got a little bit more pace underneath him too. But at the moment, he's just biding his time, playing it safe, and seeing what happens between these two. We still have 13 laps left here.
Incident point for Ricky Hyde that's given him that black flag. Here's Jeff Thomas in 13th, Michael Stewart in 14th, Travis Hunt in 15th. That's Hunt running just a little bit wide. He's not alone. Chris Burridge, I think, does similarly. There's a lot of these corners where you track out to the grass. Exiting Moss. How strong is the force feedback for Jeff Thomas? It's shaken the whole place. Stewart, we deserve a closer look at, because he's given us another different angle. He's got the LED engine block placed more prominently that we looked at the other week. And Canadian Tire Motorsport Park must be in the top left of that graphic. Got a little problem going on as well. So we'll look through all of this as we approach the final 10 laps. There it is, just in the very top left. It's approximately geographic, like a Mercator projection world map. Europe in the center, America on the left, Australia in the bottom right, Asia sort of in the top right. But all of it encompassed by the Isle of Man somehow, with Le Mans and the Nürburgring inside. Avis is there. Whatever is going on with the LEDs and the V8 engine block. That looks like a 60 degree, not a 90 degree V8. Travis Hunt got his soundproofing up, got his mirror and his ceiling fan going. Frustrated with himself because he's just had a little problem. So Ricky Hyde had previously received a post-race points penalty for blocking. He's crossed the incident limit, and now race control have given him a black flag for this.
Oh, that's some heavy contact there for Greg Sharp as well, and some pretty major damage to that car. Ricky's stopped to let him back by, but I'd imagine if you're Greg, you're trying to get into the pits and get your car repaired, which is exactly where Ricky was sitting, try to give that position back. So, yeah, not a great night for Ricky Hyde, and not for Greg Sharp either, unfortunately.
Paul Young has caught Sean McNamara and Ken Latta, who both lost almost a second on the last lap. Now, either they've both decided they need a lot of fuel saving, which is possible, or they were battling each other somewhere somehow. They've lost a second. Paul Young's caught them, so it's 3 cars for the lead, 3 cars for fourth. Gee, Jamie McKnight and Troy Stonestreet didn't look that far away in the back of shot either.
Yeah, they're starting to come together a little bit here, aren't they? Just as the end of this race comes in. I mean, we know Paul Young had some good pace. He qualified on the front row tonight, so he's definitely got pace in the car. And yeah, I just wonder, you might be right there, David. Is McNamara fuel saving a little bit? They're backing Ladder into the likes of Young here, because Paul, that gap was looking fairly static for a few laps there, and now Young is just really starting to reel them in and show a lot of pace here. So we're looking at the back of McNamara's car at Ken Latta, and then that's Paul Young just directly behind them. So see if Latta gets a bit of a run here into the final set of corners here, down the Infinity Straight. Latta's got a good run. McNamara is holding it tight, right lining it at the moment. Latta's going to try to throw it down the inside here. McNamara not making it easy, and oh man, I thought Latta was going to go for it down the inside into turn 9. That would have been a very brave move, but he's pulled out of it. But all that's done is now Paul Young, he's just that much closer.
Well, it's 9 laps to go now, so only about 10 minutes left in this 250 kilometres for a V8 Vets from Mosport. If you're looking to make some moves, you'll be looking to make them now. I'm also thinking about Wayne Walker with regards to this. Young also, having caught these drivers, doesn't have too long to try to figure out how he's going to pass them if he can. Knight and Stonestreet lap down car behind them. Chad Lewis ahead of John Gallen back there, 9th and 10th.
That is an angry battle pack here for the back of the top 10 at the moment. Chad Lewis holding his own in 9th with John Gallen right on his tail, and just behind Justin McLean, who's seen showing great pace this season as well. So definitely looking to try and sneak into that top 10. Behind them as well, you've got Nash, Thomas, Stewart, Poynton, Burridge, and Hunt all the way back to 17th. So this is a snake of cars running all the way deep into the top 20 of this race, and I can tell you right now, it's not until John Gallen around the outside of Chad Lewis. He's going to try hold it there, and he's going to get that position into turn 9. That was excellent. Turn 8 around the outside. McLean, no! He spun Lewis but managed to straighten him back out again. But this has created chaos.
Car park on the pit straight. Oh, 2 wide, 3 wide. Got to sort it all out there as they came out of the final corner and were significantly checked up. Race control are going to have a look at it. So Chad Lewis is now back down the inside here versus David Nash, trying to swap to the inside of the very next corner there as well. Michael Stewart gets down the inside of Jeff Thomas there, who ends up in the marbles. Travis Hunt ends up wider than the marbles. He ends up in the grass.
That's broken up our battle pack here a little bit, but there's still some cars in this trying to fight for position. Michael Stewart's looking very racy here, and it's just picked up a couple of positions towards this melee in the last lap. So, and Burridge having a moment, you can see the tyre mark in the grass there. Um, absolutely, not losing control because he kept it together there, but watch them all come over the hill here, side by side. The teammates, watch out. Burridge will go down the inside here of Hunt. He won't quite make it work. Got to be careful here, Thomas and Hunt. Teammates don't want to get involved with each other, but they're battling hard.
Black wheels for Thomas, silver wheels for Hunt. Other than that, looking roughly identical. Front bumpers and mirrors and some stuff like that's wide again into the marbles, but this time for Jeff Thomas through turn 2. Not only lets his teammate go, Chris Burridge sneaks through as well. Dave Arnie's the driver just behind. We've had a really long stint on these tyres now. Market safety car now, sort of 28 laps. It's the longest they've gone all race on them, and that is Ray Smith. He's wearing his seatbelts. That has ended up in a weird spot so early in turn 1. We struggle to get there alone, I think.
Yeah, missing both the rear and the front bar. Fair enough, Ray not looking too happy there as we go on board with his zoom camera as well. That'll be a fascinating one to unpack because I agree. I don't think you get there by yourself. That seems like a very odd spot to fire off into the wall.
Yes. It's about as I suspected. It did take a bit of help. He didn't leave Stephen Kennedy a whole lot of room. Yeah, so we'll look from Stephen Kennedy, yeah.
A bit of bumping and everything. Kennedy just keeps his nose there. It's hard to tell. It's difficult to tell who to cross on. Kennedy seemed to be right at the left-hand side there, but it doesn't make sense for me that Smith would be coming across to the left when the right-hand turn's coming up. That's a very difficult one, but unfortunately it's meant Smith is out of this one at the moment.
Kennedy's also picked up a little bit of damage. There's half a second for our top 3 as they get to the end of the Andretti straightaway. It'll be 5 laps to go when they cross the start-finish line in a moment's time. Scott Gamble still leading from Darren Lobb and Wayne Walker. What do you expect Walker to do in these final 5 laps, given his position strategy-wise, but also championship-wise?
I think if you're Walker, you take the 3rd place. He's had an excellent run. His form's been great, but I think if you gamble or Lobb, you need this win more than Walker does. So if I'm playing it smart as Wayne, I'm sticking behind, hoping to pick up positions if anything goes wrong. If I'm Darren Lobb, I'm lobbing it down the inside of Gamble to try and take a win and improve on my season.
But if you see an opportunity...
Well, he's a racer, right? You go for it. If the opportunity's clear and it's there, I reckon he'll take a stab at it. He would not let one of those go. The points are going to be important. Jordan Ross will come back when his drop rounds are accounted for. But I think he won't do anything silly to get a penalty, to take anyone out, to take himself out. It'll just be about getting the best result he can out of the night.
Lobb is very, very close to Gamble. As we come down the straight, Gamble stays right. Lobb goes to the outside again. He's not that far up. He'll try to remain alongside here, and it'll just not quite work. But he's thinking, I can win this race. He's not going to get around the outside of Scott Gamble particularly easily. A look now at the race leader.
On board of the zoom wall here and looking from the back of Scott Gamble's car. Someone who is not unfamiliar with winning in this category and shows up week in and week out with pace in hand, but now he's going to have to use all of the tricks of the trade to try and keep a hard charging and determined Darren Lobb behind him. Darren Lobb coming off the back of a DNF last week and one of our biggest shaker in the championship standings, so he wants to make a real impact on this round 5 here at Mosport and will try to make it happen. Gamble looking pretty calm actually. He's in a flow. He knows what he needs to do to get to the end of this one. It'll be 3 laps to go next time around. A little bit of breathing space here as well, coming through Moss Corner and out onto the Andretti straight.
This is niche but important. Jordan Ross left the pit lane, completed another 3 laps, and has just come back in a couple of minutes ago. So I was looking at that thinking Jordan Ross might not be a classified finisher, but it looks like he will be now for the about 100 points or so that's worth. This is the move that Lob's tried to make a couple of times around the outside. He's not as far up this time by, but he'll try to get his nose in there again, and he's just making it clear to Scott Gamble that he'll take an opportunity if one presents. There's always a temptation to take a dive to the inside of that final corner as well. It's got Wayne Walker breathing down the back of his neck as well. His top three have pulled 7 seconds clear of Sean McNamara, Ken Latter, and Paul Young still sits in 6th place. Chad Lewis and David Nash are side by side. Nash just gets shoved a tiny bit wide towards the marbles. Got Michael Stewart, I think, has moved to a Camaro in 13th there, is alongside Mark Poynton. Poynton looking for the inside of turn 1. Travis Hunt looking to go well round the outside if he can. No, finds the marbles again.
These boys are playing for keeps, as Hunt got a bit loose there in the turn 1, I think. And there's Chad Lewis has actually got a bit of a reprieve here, but Nash is being absolutely attacked by Stewart. Poynton being attacked by Hunt. Burridge in the background there looking to take advantage of any opportunities that come his way. This is not over. His battle for 11th is absolutely not over yet. Even with 2.5 laps left to go here, it's definitely not sorted out. We'll go back to the lead. Bob's just spun Gamble for the lead.
Wayne Walker now leads this race with 2 laps to go. Looking now at Scott Gamble just behind Darren Lobb. Wayne Walker up front. So Lobb was looking to try to get by in the final 3 corners. He was looking for around the outside on previous times. What's happened this time? Yes, that appears to be pavement. So he's gone even further around the outside, kept a 1/10 of a car length overlap into the left-hander. And there's been contact between the two of them. Wayne Walker has snuck through for the race lead. They're pretty well side by side here. Lobb is just trying to keep this overlap around the outside. And look how much there is right there. His splitter is to the rear tyre. I mean, if he was fully alongside earlier in the corner, can you ask him to back out of that one? If you dived in and had that much overlap, I'd blame the driver diving into that closing space. But Lobb was trying to hold a space that Scott Gamble was trying to close. Wayne Walker will lead this race to the white flag.
And you know what? We said that he would throw it down the inside if he had to, but we're going to throw it back here because it is well and truly on for 4th as they just make contact here. We've gone to the heli cam, we've gone to the side-by-side cam. McNamara down around the outside is falling and falling. Ladder will get that position. Young is trying to make it work through turn 9 here and probably get this on the marbles. Oh, he's luckily kept that going, but that's brought McKnight well and truly into this battle here as they come round to start their final lap.
Yeah, they have. Wayne Walker's got a more than a second lead. Lobb and Gamble are both dropping back as if they've got either damage or some fuel saving to do. The latter ahead of Sean McNamara. Paul Young probably wanted to come through on that if he could, hasn't been able to. That's Walker leading the race and marching clear. He has pace that he's had in his back pocket for the last 30 laps. He gets unleashed and he goes 4/10 quicker than they had all stint. Young and McKnight have gotten past McNamara here.
I feel like there's more to that story. He's out on the marbles there. Look at how skinny that line is. But Wayne Walker now coming around into this last sector to finish this race up.
He's looking for 4 race wins on the trot in this season of RaceKraft V8 Vets. Last time out, he took the lead of the championship. He'll extend it here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Wayne Walker has been so patient. He lights it up sideways coming out of the final corner. And he wins the 250 Ks from Mosport from Darren Lobb and Scott Gamble. A controversial finish there. Jordan Ross with technical issues. Been right down the tail end of the field. Ken Latter, Paul Young, Jamie McKnight and Sean McNamara coming to the line just ahead of Troy Stone Street. This is Chad Lewis, David Nash, Michael Stewart. This group coming out of the final corner to the line. Chris Burridge lights them up through the final corner as well.
And here comes Dan Hall as well, up 19 in 19th position across the line. And rounding out our top 20 will be Jeff Thomas as well.
Travis Hunt lost 9 seconds on the final lap. Scott Mackay lost 3 seconds. Dan Hall lost 6. A lot of drivers had a lot of fuel saving to do right at the end here. There's just enough fuel there for Simon Haynes to beat Wayne Sanderson to the line. Yeah, a lot of drivers on fumes on this final lap.
Looks like we were expecting our top guys in the likes of Walker, Lobb and Gamble to have some struggles, and instead it's been some of our guys further back in the field. But I think that is just about all of our field, and Wayne Walker is our winner tonight.
He's going to demonstrate how much fuel he's got left. Burnouts in the marbles, that'll be flinging stuff at the crowd. He's pretty happy with himself, should be. He sat so patiently, the opportunity came, and then he's nabbed the win, extended his championship lead. Wayne Walker wins, Darren Lobb and Scott Gamble second and third. There's Ken Latter in fourth, Paul Young in fifth, Jamie McKnight sixth, Sean McNamara dropping back to seventh, Troy Stone Street, John Gallen and Justin McLean completing the top 10.
Then we've got Chad Lewis ended up in 11th out of that battle pack, David Nash in 12th, Michael Stewart 13th, Mark Poynton in 14th, Chris Burridge 15th, Dave Arney in 16th, Travis Hunt 17th, Scott Mackay in 18th, Dan Hall in 19th, and rounding out our top 20 here tonight is Jeff Thomas.
Christian Smart in 21st, Luke Allman in 22nd, Matt Brunt 23rd, Jim Caparonis, Darren Goosey, Brad Doble, Simon Haynes, Wayne Sanderson, David Kirby, and Dean Logsdale.
And then to round out our field of finishes here tonight, we'll have Andrew Rushworth 31st, Tim Mulford 32nd, Ray Smith in 33rd, Lorne McKee 34th, Ricky Hyde 35th, Greg Sharp 36th, Stephen Kennedy in 37th, and Jordan Ross in 38th, with Matt Scholes and Logan Barnett not being classified as non-finishers for this one. And then we've got Jason Spriggs, who unfortunately joined in the wrong car, and Dean Flavell, who didn't actually make it to the circuit there as well.
Yeah, Jason Spriggs actually did drive as the safety car, so maybe he's wrong in our spreadsheet, or he got a late move across to be safety car driver. We'll get the chance to speak to some of our drivers when I click in the right places. Well, our top 3 are going to swing on by. And Scott Gamble will be the first to join us. Finishing third, you might have picked up most laps led there.
How you going, David? Yeah, I mean, it was a good race. A little bit disappointing at the end, but would you expect anything less from that person? To me, they just hang the nose there and, wait for you to turn around, turn into the corner. You've got to turn at some stage. And, we went around a little bit. He got to hold his position and Wayne got to win it, but just seems to be my luck at the moment within racing.
Talk us through the strategy of this race, because you always have something in mind and then the safety car happens and you shot to the lead there with the pit stop under safety car. How'd that come about?
Yeah, look, I took a little bit more fuel than the other guys in the first stop. And I was sort of banking on that. I thought they'd come out in a little bit of traffic, and they did. So that sort of covered that a little bit, and had to push it a little bit to get back up to, I think it was behind Jordan at that stage. And then when the safety car come out, I took a little bit less fuel, and I was actually, that whole stint, I had to really watch and fuel save where I could. So we were a little bit compromised, but at the end of the day, we're talking half a litre type thing, a litre maybe, an extra litre, and we would have been able to race a lot harder. But it was what it was. That was the strategy. I mean, it got us out in front. and if we were behind another car, well, we would have been able to save that, which is where I was thinking I was going to end up. I didn't think I'd end up in P1. I thought maybe 2 or 3, but yeah, it sort of worked out all right.
Static conditions, cool track, but I still think of this as being a pretty tire-eating circuit. How did they hold up on the long runs?
Yeah, that last stint, let me have a look. I can tell you I had a 21 on the front percent left. And the front right was 40, rear left was 50, and the right rear was 64. So it was really chewing out the tyres, I guess, in the front end, which is pretty typical sometimes, of this track, and also, this set is a little bit of push in it until the fuel load comes off. It's always a pretty comfortable set to drive, really. So for a vet set, I think Jamie done a pretty good job of it tonight.
Fantastic. You jumped to second in the championship. It still feels like early days, so wishing you the best, and we'll catch you next time out, Scott.
Yeah, all right. Thanks, David. And, before I go, I'd like to, shout out to the guys over at ERT. I've had a bit of a bad run, especially in the Pro Series last couple of races. I've caught up in other things. And, they've been really supportive and picking me up, and to be able to back up from last night's race into tonight's race, without their sort of, support, especially some of the drivers that aren't driving at the moment. They've been, really good. So thank you to them. And, as always, Logitech G, thanks to you guys. And, well done, Wayne, Darren, and the rest of the guys out there in the vets, congratulations. And we'll hopefully get up here another time.
Great to chat. Thanks, Scott. We can move up the podium, Brock.
Yeah, we will chat to...
Oh, we can't. I was confused.
We'll have our race winner here. We don't have second place at the moment, so we can jump to Wayne Walker. Wayne, well done, mate. Tonight was a bit of a crazy one. I know that it shows you qualified first and you finished first, but I feel like there's a lot more to that story. Walk us through your race tonight, mate.
It was definitely one of the hardest races I've had in a long time, I think. Yeah, like at the start, I didn't want to push too hard because I know it was a long race, and tires, if you push too hard, they go off, pretty easy. So, and then Jordan got past me, tried to stay with him and tried to fuel save a little bit. And then, stopped a lap before them, jumped them, and then I think it was a couple of laps after that, me and Jordan come together, and we lost a position to Gamble. So then we were sort of chasing him back down, and then that safety car come out, and both was it Scott and Darren, both jumped me, and it was just so hard to pass. Like there was nowhere I could pass unless somebody in front made a mistake. So at the second last corner, when Scott and Darren come together, I had to sort of just throw it in and pass, and then just hold on for 2 laps to come home first. But definitely wasn't an easy race. There was probably half a dozen of us that could have won that race.
Yeah, it was pretty hectic out there. Look, obviously, with the timing of that safety car, that back end of the race and that stint got extended quite a bit. How did you manage being behind Scott and Darren? Was there any thought of making a move? Was the championship on your mind? Like, how are you processing that to make sure you made it to the end of this thing still in a good position?
Yeah, I was pretty much. I just wanted to sit behind him, stay with him, and try and just conserve tires for the end of the race. And I think coming towards the end, I had more pace, But yeah, like I said, without any mistakes in front, there's no way I would have got through. Like, you know, Scott and Darren, they both drove really well.
Interesting, Wayne. And look, we've got to ask before we let you go. 4 wins on the trot. You have got massive speed and consistency underneath you at the moment, mate. What's the mindset going to the second half of this championship? Are you going to go try for more?
Oh, I'll definitely be pushing for more wins. But I don't want to make any silly mistakes and sort of throw it away either. So, you know, if I'm not in first, and you know, I'm not going to go for any silly moves to try and get the win. I think, yeah, from here on out, just try to stay consistent. If I can win, I can win. But if I can't, I've just got to sort of settle for the position I'm in.
Sounds like a great mindset, Wayne. Look, before you let go of the podium, mate, anyone you want to shout out or thank tonight?
Yeah, just everyone who helps run the league, race control, you guys for the broadcast. You know, you guys do an amazing job every week. The podium finishers, Darren and Scott, like they drove amazing tonight as well. But hadn't it been for that little sort of coming together, one of them would have won it for sure. All the other competitors as well, you know, without them, it's not possible. And you know, it's good to have a lot of people out there, you know, with close racing. My team, Accelerate Sim Racing, all those guys for all their help. And our sponsors, yeah, Box and Lock Narang, Abbey Timber, Primal Wheels, and Modern Deck. Yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Wayne. Great to hear from you, mate, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Well done again tonight.
Yep, thank you.
And that was our race winner and championship leader, Wayne Walker, after a successful but challenging night.
It's one big question we didn't get answered there, though, and it was, which is his favourite Abbey Timber product? Is it the traditional solid flooring, the Australian species engineered flooring, the European oak flooring, or the hybrid SPC flooring? So many options to choose from. Now for us, though, to decide an M1 used cars driver of the day, and are you throwing out a suggestion, Brock?
There are a few that come to mind for me. I actually really liked Scott Gamble's drive today. I know it didn't quite pan out how he wanted to, but it was definitely one that was worth watching, and the strategy did pay off for him a little bit there. Another good run was Jamie McKnight as well, up to 6th. I thought he raced really well, made some good passes and kept it clean. They're probably my 2 picks. What about you, David?
Yeah, I mean, I can see a bunch of people who did well, but I'm not seeing a standout personally. So we can't award it to 5 people. So what are you thinking?
You know what? I reckon let's throw it behind Jamie. Let's throw it behind Jamie McKnight, I think, because he's had a couple of struggles in some of the races earlier in the season. We haven't seen him up very high, but tonight was a good, clean race, good pace, and up 7. That's a pretty good performance.
So we're giving M1 used cars driver of the day to Jamie McKnight, 6th place finish, and there was a while that he was sort of battling top 10, and then he managed to get clear of that, race up towards this battle for the top 5, where he then ended up finishing ahead of Sean McNamara with a late move there as well.
Yeah, very well done, and he just all race, he was in and amongst it. We almost constantly could see him in these battle packs we were looking that was around that top 10, top 15. Kept it clean, didn't spin anyone, didn't get, his car's practically dealership clean at the moment. So yeah, great race, great to see him up that far, and he is our M1 used cars driver of the day.
think that might be it from us here on SimSpeed TV from Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Everything we thought we were going to get: high tire wear, close racing, a safety car felt likely, and we got one, and it led them to that really long final stint. It led to Scott Gamble jumping some people in the pit lane. Jordan Ross, a key championship contender with some technical issues, not his own doing or his own mistake, have really cost him here and thrust Wayne Walker into a clear championship leading position and elevated Scott Gamble into second. Next week, we go to the Legacy Silverstone. That will be very interesting.
Yeah, that will be very interesting. I think we're in for yet another interesting race. And my biggest question is, will Wayne Walker continue the streak, or can somebody topple him? I'm excited to come back and find out.
You'll see that here on SimSpeed TV. Thank you to everyone who supports RaceKraft V8 Vets Championship and the broadcast. It is, of course, RaceKraft Simulations, but also Logitech G, Nova Sim Sports, Parramatta Isuzu Ute, Player One Sim Gear, LGC Images, M1 Used Cars, and SudSpeed. I've been David Haynes with Brock Cadday, Daniel Yeaman in the production as Wayne Walker goes 4 wins on the trot to lead season 26 of V8 Vets.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.